Hi everyone, it's Ardith, and today I've got a fun card using some Catherine Pooler ink blending and some of the new Mandala layering stencils from Birch Designs. These 4 stencils came with a matching stamp, which would give this card a different look, but I'll save that for another day. I numbered my stencils for another project, but for this one, it doesn't matter which order you use them in. I did double check to make sure that when they were stacked up, the pattern lined up. I used the number to make sure that I laid the stencils down the same way each time. I didn't actually test the symmetry on these stencils, but now that I'm trying to explain it to you, I'm figuring that it probably would be fine, no matter which way you used them. I started by using a Sharpie to draw lines from corner to corner each way. The idea was to divide the stencil design into 8 areas so that I would know where to put each color of ink. You could definitely skip this step and eyeball the ink placement, but I'm a girl who loves precision. Who knows, maybe I just made it more complicated than it needed to be. I do that sometimes. Anyway, to complete the lines from the center of each side, I lined up each stencil on my grid work surface. I did this for all 4 stencils. I used a 6x6 panel of white cardstock and my MISTI to help me with stencil placement. As I said, it doesn't matter which order you use the stencils in, but being me, I used them in order 1 to 4 with each color, but hey, that's just who I am. I started with limoncello ink and a blender brush. I placed stencil 1 over the cardstock and lightly blended the ink from the center to the outside edge in the appropriate portion of the stencil. I focused mostly in the center of the triangle area, but I did allow the ink to go a bit over the lines on each side so that I would get a good blend with the adjacent colors. When I had coverage of those areas, I moved on to stencil number 2, and I did the same thing. Thinking about it again, having those numbers did help me keep them organized, so it was easier for me to know which stencils I had used for each color already. And I'm so used to changing colors rather than stencils that I kept closing up the limoncello ink and then having to open it again. When I lifted that 4th stencil, I knew I was going to love this card. The overlapped ink created different depths of color and so much interest. It took me a little while, but I did finally get into a bit of a groove with this process, blending ink through each stencil, then cleaning and drying each stencil before I moved to the next color. I worked my way through my rainbow of Catherine Pooler inks. These inks blend beautifully and work so well with stencils in these brushes. And as you can see, the MISTI really helped me keeping it all lined up. As my rainbow grew, I fell more and more in love with this design. In the middle of the process, I did use some repositionable tape to attach the white panel to the MISTI mousepad. Then I didn't have to worry about the cardstock shifting during stencil changes. And here it is. I love this. I loved it so much that the next step was the hardest part of making this card. I cut down the panel to fit on a card. And then I had another decision to make: how to add the sentiment. I cut the thanks die along with its shadow, and I couldn't decide if I wanted just the word or the 2 layered up. Using the shadow really helps give some clear space around the word, but it was also going to cover up more of that rainbow. And then I couldn't decide if black on white was better or white on black was better. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. In the end, I thought of another option. I layered up the 2 thanks words, offsetting them just a bit. This gave my white word some definition without covering as much of the card as the shadow would have. To finish the card, I adhered the panel to a white card base and added a few sparkling clear sequins from Pretty Pink Posh. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up below and subscribe for even more inspiration. If you click on the bell next to the subscribe button, you'll get a notification in your inbox whenever I post a new video, so you'll always be right up to date. Product links are below and also on my blog. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.